All right, man. Let's get in there. Let's get in there. I didn't realize we had made this name official. That this is Talking Knox. Welcome back to Talking Knox with the Pride of Detroit crew. PrideOfDetroit.com. Pride of Detroit on Twitter. Pride of Detroit on Facebook. Live on Twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. I'm Chris Perfett, the Chad Hardwick of this esteemed panel here. With me, as always, Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit Online. I'm at Chris Perfett, Perfett. Ryan Matthews, rock God, at Ryan_POD. And I guess we should just start, as I think this should become custom. What was your favorite quote from this before we get into anything else? What was your favorite quote from this episode? Just one.
Oh man, it's so many. But since I'm holding this glass of water, I'll have to say that that makes me a soft person because whatever happened to drink and spit.
Such a soy boy.
I almost want to say mine was, if we're going to keep it on John Brown, it was, has Kevin Durant ever done a calf raise? What was the last time Kevin Durant did a calf raise? Which I don't know if Kevin Durant's watching, but I hope he is.
He'll find it.
But I feel like the quote that everyone's going to take away from this, and we'll see how long it lasts, is fucking bunches of oats.
Classic.
That's a good one.
That's just Dan Campbell, just
out there.
The first thing that comes into his mind goes out of his mouth because that's who Dan Campbell is.
I don't even know if it was my favorite Dan Campbell quote from the episode, though. I loved "I'd kiss you if you weren't breathing so hard," talking about Josh Reynolds.
Well, this episode started very horny between that and the short. My wife had short shorts like that. I was going to also say "Fudge" and "Golly" from David Blau were very good quotes too.
Yep, good stuff.
We're not going to do a whole list cast of just quotes. We're here to talk about the rest of Hard Knocks. Episode 2, now on HBO Max and HBO and all the places where we've just watched it in the United States. I know I've heard from plenty of people the past week that abroad it comes on different times on different services, apparently. So it's all kind of messy. If you are an International Lions fan, thank you for checking us out when you check us out. And Jeremy, Ryan, let's just get right into it. The biggest stories from this one, I think we were talking about it a little bit before the after show, the pre-production to the after show. And I'm a little torn on where the biggest story is, but I think the big one that's getting everyone hyped right now is Rodrigo. He was the vein that kind of led through this entire show. Malcolm Rodriguez, as Calvin Shepard reminded us of the round he went in. It was late.
Sixth round.
And Rodrigo got lots of hype.
Man, so last week we were talking about what I wanted to see in this week's episode, and it was the coaches talking about the players in the meeting rooms. And the reasoning behind that is because we don't know how truth-telling some of the coaches are sometimes. And with a player like Malcolm Rodriguez, you kind of got a sense maybe everything was getting a little bit overhyped. Like, we saw it in practice. We saw it in the games. We heard in the spring Kelvin Shepard saying that Malcolm Rodriguez is one of the smartest players he's ever been around, young players that he's ever been around. And you have to, like, think back to yourself, like, are we overhyping this guy? Is this a little bit too much? And then you see behind the closed doors what they're really saying about this guy. We're not overhyping him. Like, this hype is real. This guy very much has a chance to, I'm just going to say it right now, start in week 1. I'm going to put that out there. I think that's a distinct possibility. Because when you have Kelvin Shepard saying this, I'm fucking sick of saying this about a rookie. What do y'all want me to do? Put him out there first? Because that's what's about to happen. Guess what? That's already happened. This ain't nothing against you, Rodriguez. Matter of fact, you're fucking playing your ass off, dude. But it's a rookie who I'm doing everything I can not to put out here first. That dude has earned his way into the starting lineup. He's the best linebacker that some Lions coach has ever seen in 5 years. Like, this dude is getting hyped and deservedly so. And man, I don't know what to say other than I think this guy might start week 1.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most telling comments too was Kelvin Shepard talking about, like, not seeing a linebacker stack and shed like that in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, I think what's so interesting too about that positional meeting with the linebackers was how stark it was in contrast, I feel like, to Deuce Staley. And I know we'll get to that in a little bit, but like, I think what really stood out about this interaction was this is a room that's like full of a lot of veteran players, right? Like, and that's the point of Shep's message is like, dude, this is a 6th-round guy who's coming in and taking your lunch money. Like, you're going to let him do this? Like, this is not only Kelvin Shepherd heaping praise on Malcolm Rodriguez, but it's
Call
like,
everyone else out. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, how else am I going to motivate you guys other than this rookie that came in and was salsaing a couple weeks ago? Like, I mean, you're going to let him take your job?
And I've never seen someone like Malcolm Rodriguez who is just wanting to vanish from that room while he's receiving that praise.
Oh, I would
he
not want to be Malcolm
Rodriguez. He was trying to disappear into his hoodie during that scene because he knows what that does, putting him at odds with the rest of that room. But again, like, those guys need that fire. It's a recurring story. It's one of the favorites on Hard Knocks, the rookie coming in to take lunch money, as you put it, Ryan. And this one was delivered very, very well. And again, it's delivered very well because, as Jeremy said, it's already happening. And we got to see, like, it got backed up in preseason game 1 as well. Yeah. Which the second half of this episode dealt with preseason game 1.
Right. And yeah, and that's, we mentioned it briefly in our preseason recap, but Malcolm Rodriguez was one of the few defenders that I thought actually played pretty well out there with the ones. But like, the moment that kind of gave me chills was before the meeting room, is where he just pulled him aside on the sideline during practice. He says, "This year can be whatever you want it to be. Everything's open for you right now. You got me. You just got to take it and do it." Like, that's him telling him, you can start. You could do more than start. You could have a special rookie season. And like, I don't know how to pull myself back at this point, because like,
it's a little too real.
It's very real. And I'm usually the guy that's like, day 3, don't expect too much of these guys, but I'm all aboard the Malcolm Rodriguez hype train. Like, I think this guy's going somewhere.
I think it's a combination of his actual talent and just how bad the rest of the linebackers are right now.
There's definitely a little bit of that sprinkled in. But
yes.
But I mean, when you're heaping praise, and I know Lions haven't had good linebackers in 5 years, but that sort of praise isn't just normal, like, hey, everyone else sucks, like these linebacker rooms.
Oh yeah,
that's your special talent.
Yeah, I don't think Kelvin Shepherd has any I don't think he has any motivation just to blow smoke for the sake of having a quote unquote like dearth of talent at the linebacker room. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to praise some 6th-round rookie just to make a bunch of other guys feel like they need to step up.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that with a rookie either, right? Like, you don't want to overpraise a rookie.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, could their heads be any bigger than that Guardian cap?
Exactly.
Right.
Any bigger than the fish they caught that Frank Ragnow caught?
Good call.
It's a very big fish. And we finally got our shots in at Detroit on the Lions, because plenty of good stuff. But what was what's that thing they showed? It was like the dance number, Ryan, at the start. It's like, we got the Lions. We just hope they're trying.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that
this episode,
I knew that montage was coming.
Yeah,
it was just a matter of time.
It was when
this episode did get a little hokey with some of its Detroit imagery, and like, I don't know, like, they had that weird montage of like, all right, players, say what Detroit means to you before the preseason game. Like, okay, you don't need to do this.
We're good. The second storyline, and I think the one that I know Jeremy was most interested in, and we got to see a lot of it. And I it's not what I would say my second one is, because I knew what mine is, but Deuce Staley and Deandre Swift in relation between the two. I think the one thing we're not really getting, we're getting a lot of Deuce, but Deandre Swift himself is not mic'd up for a lot of these. So we're only getting like how Deuce feels about Swift. I'm curious what Swift feels about Deuce and how they do it. But we can tell from all these clips that Deuce Staley is pushing Deandre Swift to be more aggressive, especially during, was it the scrimmage game? Or I believe he was like, stay in bounds. You could have scored there, like trying to get him to cut back inside rather than trying to go out of bounds, to be more aggressive, to really push for
that was the first preseason game. Yeah,
that was the preseason game. They should, because I know they showed it pretty early. So
Well, the stiff arm where he asked him to do a stiff arm, that was the scrimmage game.
That was the
Yes,
scrimmage game.
that was
But
a scrimmage game,
when he
yes.
wanted him to go inside,
Yes,
that was against the Falcons.
That was the preseason, correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of tough love in this episode, right? There's a lot of Deuce Staley tough love, and it's interesting to see that dynamic because it does feel like a lot of what Deandre Swift is struggling to do to get to that next level is mental, right? It's reading wrong reads. It's maybe not having the confidence, and obviously there's the injury aspect of it as well. But you could really see Deuce Staley working the psychology of DeAndre Swift this entire episode. I thought it was fascinating because that whole like speech he gave to the coaching room is just like, I need to get him to believe that he is the best player out there on the field because I know that he is. I just don't think he knows that it is yet. And so it's fascinating to me to see that part, and then to see the in-game coaching when he misses that really on the first 2 runs of that first opening drive, he misses the hole and he pulls him out. Like that wasn't just a, hey, let's share the load between Swift and Jamal. That was, you messed up. I need to pull you aside and tell you what you did wrong. And to me, the most promising part of that scene is that after Swift goes down and scores a touchdown, he beelines to Deuce and is like, all right, tell me what I did wrong. He doesn't care about the touchdown. He doesn't care about celebrating. Like, he wants to go and back, look at the film, look at his little Microsoft tablet and see what he did wrong. And like the disappointment on his face when he saw when they switched scenes and he saw the big hole that he had missed, like, to me, that's good coaching. Like, that's him really, really caring and putting in the extra effort and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if he takes that extra step. I do feel like there's been this mental block in the first 2 years of his career that has held him back. But man, Deuce Staley is a guy that I trust to do everything in his damn power to really pull it out of him.
And I know Deuce, like as Chris alluded to, you know, he keeps on reiterating not only in the coaching room, but when they get into the positional meeting, he just keeps on telling him, like, dude, you're special.
Yeah.
And I think it was in the coaches meeting when he's like, I've been around some guys that are good in space. He's like the special ones. And he's like, he's got it. And that's what I meant in it. I think that scene stood in such stark contrast to the scene with Shepard and the linebackers, because this is not a coach that's, elevating a rookie, challenging the rest of the position group to step up. He's like talking to the guy. Like, this is supposed to be the star of the backfield. He's like, you have to believe that you're as good as I know you are. And that's why, it's just, I think that there's a lot of very honest and transparent communication that goes on between these coaches and the players. And this was the first episode that we really got to see it because, like you said, Jeremy, this is what we were waiting for, positional meetings.
I think when we talk about like what's different with this coaching staff, when we talk about, I've always been the big proponent of, if this works, this will be very good for the NFL because it will open the door to more consideration for former players in larger coaching roles, not just positional coaching roles, but former NFL players to be considered for assistant head coach and more for the full-on head coach like Dan Campbell and Mike Vrabel. It's things like that. And I think the thing that really stood out to me is just I don't know many coaches who are like that, who, like, I know some guys, everyone's trying to get the most out of a player, but to be that honest with them and saying, like, I know you can do, like, I know you are one of the best I've seen do this, that, and the other thing. And also just pushing them as hard as hell like that to get what they think they have in that guy out of them. It's a combination of, again, a veteran player on that field trying to, in that locker room, trying to smack up the rookie and get him, show him what he knows, but also like the combination of that with being the coach who sees everything in the tape and is able to, mentor him that way. It's very fascinating. It's a very fascinating dynamic.
No question. Just I think you mentioned there just the honesty of it all. It's all about, and this even goes back to just Dan Campbell and who he is as a person. Just everyone is being their honest selves and not taking anything personally. And they're not, when they criticize, they're not trying to be demeaning in any sort of way. They're just trying to be honest, and not in a way that, like, comedians say, oh, I'm just being honest, and, telling horrible, demeaning jokes. Like, they're just being out there telling them like it is, and hoping that players take it the right way. And you can see Deuce being somewhat delicate around Swift. You know, he's not screaming at the guy, but he's being very direct with him too. And I don't know, like, I don't know how Swift was with the previous regime. I can't imagine it was great because most players weren't great with the previous regime, but I do feel like I see him engaged. I do feel like I see him listening. And, you know, he had one really good inside run right after they threw him back out there on the field. So I think it's working, but obviously we still have a long ways to go to see if it really clicks with him.
And now we get into probably my favorite part, the part I've been waiting for unabashedly. And it kicked up right away, Ryan, as Amon-Ra St. Brown went out there and did his favorite party trick, name all 16 players who got drafted before him in the 2021 NFL draft and the schools they went to. Just right and demanded right away. The St. Brown family, we got a little bit of a taste of it. I think John Brown's going to continue to be a character.
He stole the show, man. He stole the show.
He took a shot, Ryan, at Kevin Durant right away too. Just random out of the blue.
Yeah, I'm pretty much looking forward to the first thing in the morning being checking my phone, and I'm gonna turn notifications on for Kevin Durant's tweets. So maybe something will pop up. But I mean, I agree with Jeremy. Like, he stole the show. Whether it was the quibble that he made over the Hutchinson sitting in their $20 million private box, or it was,
the best one in my opinion.
Being excited for Rodrigo, the 6th round pick, and like, I mean,
wearing the combination Bears Lions jersey for him
stock
and
down.
Stocked out on that.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the quotes with the weightlifting and the bodybuilding, and
they were in a Gold's gym, and he it must have been like a Gold's gym or an old school gym, and he had on a leather belt, man, notched tight.
Just footage of Amon-Ra St. Brown lifting while he was in middle school was interesting. Something I didn't know that I would see on Hard Knocks.
Going out and getting the jugs machine as soon as he heard he could, like, that's a good dad there. Just to me, it's like, hey, how'd you do it? 200 catches a day with the jugs machine. Okay, well, that's Amon-Ra's life there, is the jugs machine now.
I mean, it's so easy to see where Amon-Ra became the person that he is, right? Just having, like, it was inevitable to become who he did with John Brown, the character, the over the top manly dude that John Brown is.
I mean, you say over the top, but the man was a Mr. Universe. Like, I don't know if
that is the definition
top.
Of over the top manly dude, is being Mr. Universe.
My only question is, like, why haven't the other St. Brown boys, like, why haven't they amounted to as much as Amon-Ra has? Because I mean, they clearly have they've all been raised by a 2-time Mr. Universe, and I mean, even Equinemius was in the shots today that Hard Knocks had. So,
and
I'm cool seeing the family.
Who's the third one? Osiris? Is he still? I think he's still at Stanford right now.
Sure.
So we haven't seen him get drafted yet, but it's a football family. But yeah, no, St. Brown has probably had the most electric season in the pros so far. Not gonna lie.
No question.
I think the nice thing was just kind of it'll be interesting. They didn't really get to focus too much on the fall apart of the preseason game. We got a little bit of, the things from Blau's perspective, which, by the way, Blau kind of unnerves me a little bit by his insistence on not to cuss. But considering F-bombs are dropping like 50 F-bombs are dropping 50 times a minute out of Dan Campbell's mouth, and here's David Blau going golly and fudge after dropping the football like it's a Christmas story.
He's a good Christian boy.
Yeah, I know. But I did feel a little bit bad for Blau. That was some heartbreaking stuff there, watching him Goff comfort him at the end and everything.
I mean, it's not just that. It's also watching it from his wife's perspective, right? Like from Melissa. I mean, it's always a nice reminder of how human this is, because I know a lot of Lions fans are really frustrated, which to me is in the first place silly, because it's a preseason game and David Blau was the third string quarterback of the day. So not a big deal if he loses the football game for you. Also, the Lions had a 4th and 9, so it's not completely his fault. But this episode sure did make it look like it was only his fault.
I mean, it's the old Jim McKay line, right? I way before all of our times, which Wide World of Sports, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. That was the agony all over his face.
Yeah,
at that point,
it's
and
rough.
I hate seeing that kind of agony. I just do.
Especially when us that sat here and watched the entire game was like, David Blau actually played pretty darn well that entire game outside of that one moment. Meanwhile, the only thing we see from Tim Boyle is him going, "Frickin' dime, yeah!" Like
dimer.
It's just like, oh, okay, well, he threw a pick and it was much worse. So it was tough to see that, but I mean that's what Hard Knocks does, right? It provides the human element to this show, and it's important to see. Like, that was a devastating moment for him, and it might not even be one in terms of winning the backup job. It's just he's a competitor out there, and doing something like that in a highly competitive moment where everyone on the sideline is like, all right, let's set the tone for the season. Let's we've been practicing 2 minute, we've been practicing 4 minute. Let's give the home team something to cheer about and make them feel confident going to the forward. And then, like, mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's just like, ugh. And you have to see him sitting in the locker room as guys don't know how to even approach him.
I think it's easy enough just have a little. I know people don't like Blau because of the mistakes, but like Ryan, it's easy enough just have like that iota of agony. He's not going out there trying to suck. Like, I think anyone in his position is trying their damnedest, and sometimes that's something all humans can relate to. Sometimes you're trying your hardest, and sometimes it's just not good enough in a moment, and it sucks. And it's a basic unit of empathy to at least say, like, yeah, I recognize that does suck.
That's why I think Hard Knocks is doing a really good job contextualizing a lot of this. And I think they achieved that in a couple of ways with David Blau. One, obviously, sharing the story of his wife, Melissa Gonzalez, and her running in the Olympic trials and all that stuff. Like that, you can see the passion and you can see the emotion that he has as she's running. And then that did such a good job to set the table for that moment when it's slow-mo and everybody's piling on the football that David Blau fumbled. You can see David Blau's like hand move up to his face mask, and he like grips his face mask so tightly because he knows how big he just literally dropped the ball. And that just sets off the rest of him in the locker room, as you said, by himself. Dan Skipper doesn't know what to do, really. I mean, Evan Brown comes up to him. Like, it's just really tough. And you see that moment between him and his wife afterwards where she's like, I'm proud of you. And he's just like, yeah,
he can't hear it.
Yeah. He's like, I messed up.
He said,
it's the toughest
did the hard
position.
Part, just got to finish. Like,
it's the toughest position in sports, quarterback. It's the thing we demand the most from. It is the thing that is like, if it was so easy, we would absolutely have 32 quality quarterbacks in the NFL playing it. And we don't have that. And certainly we don't have any good, backups being able to play it. It's a position that we demand a lot from, and failure is not tolerated at any moment for a quarterback. And I think Blau kind of knew that when he was going out there. And it hurts to see. Final thing, Ragnow fishing.
There's one more scene.
Yeah.
That I wanted to talk about.
No, I've got one more too.
Okay.
I just thought, remember it. It might be the same.
There wasn't much with that Ragnow scene, right?
No, it was a nice. I thought it was a nice transition to go right.
It was, yes.
On the river.
I just thought we were going to spend a little bit more time there. I mean, it's fun to hear him say he'd rather pancake Aaron Donald than catch a big fish. But
speaking of which, I'm pretty sure Frank Ragnow dropped a video today, Tuesday, going fishing with Jared Goff, which no coincidence whatsoever there.
But Frank's best quote was at the end of the show, post credits.
Yes, this is where I wanted to go too. Yes,
where he's talking to Hank Fraley's son.
Yeah,
and he's like,
ballsy son, by the way.
Oh yeah,
that kid had no fear out there. None whatsoever.
To stand up because nobody else is taking a knee.
Right.
But what exactly? Frank essentially said something like, "Your
trash talk sucks,
trash talk sucks,
dude. Your trash talk sucks."
Yeah. That was great. The way he delivered it was just like so matter of fact. Like
Right.
it almost was kind of like, dude, annoying kid.
Yeah.
I am glad we got the shot of Fraley's son. Did we ever learn his name in this episode? I don't think we ever got one.
I think they said Bo at the very beginning, but I don't.
We'll have to go. We'll go and check the tape. We'll go and check the audio tape on that. But I'm glad for all of the trash he talked, and even though the players were giving it right back to him, I am glad we got the scene of him just bombing out on the blocking sled, because
Right.
that at least like
Humbled him a
reaffirmed that this kid is just a nerd out there, just talking trash.
Which came 10 seconds after him being like, "Hey, if we win the Super Bowl, do you want to get a ring?"
Right. Hey, you're gonna have to talk to Coach Campbell on that one.
Yeah, we'll make you the jester.
The last scene that I wanted to talk about, and you guys can fill in with any ones that you want to talk about after. We finally got a little bit more of Aaron Glenn, which I don't think it was him at his best, but I still think it was a pretty effective speech that he gave in front of the crowd, just saying like, "Hey, Jonah Jackson, you came from Ohio State. Y'all almost won a national championship. Hey, Michael Brockers, y'all went to the national championship undefeated at LSU. Remember that feeling every Saturday where you just knew you were going to destroy the opponents? That's what we're doing here. That's what we need to do here. We got to bring that feeling back here." And that's, I mean, just imagining that as a fan, just like, I can't remember the last time I felt that confident in this team going into a Sunday, right? Where I'm just like, oh, they'll win this game. When's the last time you had that feeling? That very simple feeling of, oh, the Lions will win this one, and not questioning it at all. Because it's been at least a decade for me. Like, I don't even know if I felt that way in 2014 with that team.
I was going to say, I've been editing on paper now for 7 seasons, and I don't think that there's ever been an on paper that I've ever read from Jeremy where he was like, yeah, the Lions got this one in the bag.
Right?
Nope. I think it's what they want to do. I think it's what every team would like to do. It obviously doesn't exist in the NFL on a practical level, but you at least want to feel it, right? You want to feel it, but getting to that mountaintop is a hell of a climb. And it would make Dan Campbell one of the best coaches of all time if he got the Lions all the way up there.